definitely subscribe. Hit the bell so you can upload new videos and smash the like button. What's going on? I'm getting my bare face. Just get straight face. Flaws and all, okay? So right now, look at this. Let's see the difference. I had some strange occurrences recently, and I'm gonna go ahead and re-explore the Fringe series because I feel like there's a lot of scientific anomalies or just like weird, strange things that they studied, talked about, or introduced into that series. And it was just, I don't know if I found any other series like Fringe that were like sci-fi, but also like thrilling, but sci-fi and like scientific and stuff like that. So I'm trying to, I don't know, some weird things have been happening. Okay. And I need you guys to know, first off, we are moving into, a new age. So there are going to be some strange occurrences in one of the things that are supposed to be like a popular strange occurrence is like alien type stuff. Okay. Or the uncovering of extraterrestrials, the discovery of like alien or other life forms or stuff like that, right? So some weird things last night, okay, and this is not the first time, but last night this lady got in my car, right, and I was taking her down to Sarasota, or just like somewhere down, like far, so it's like a long trip. And then all of a sudden throughout the ride, it started to feel very interference is the only word that I can give you. It started to feel very interference, okay? Now, it's like it's like a high frequency with a low decibel vibration that interrupts my ability to like intuit, like, because it I feel like it, remember like that same vibration but magnified is what I was getting, and it intensified until I mentioned something, I said something out loud, and then it went down. So I think this lady had some sort of device. I think there's some sort of device that has been created, and this device is meant to like retard your intuition, or like scramble your brain or something like that, like, like mess you up in some way. Now, that wasn't the first time I experienced that. One time I was in my car at the airport and a van pulled up next to me, and I got that same situation happen. The same thing occurred, the exact same feeling, the exact same vibration, kind of like the exact same thing went down. So it wasn't my first occurrence, and that's why I feel strongly that there's some sort of device that's been created that's supposed to intercept high vibrations or whatever, or intercept your frequency or your intuition. And I'm certain that it could potentially intercept the way that you think also. I'm gonna go do some Fringe researching, because I'm pretty sure that they had some sort of device in that series that basically explains like what I was experiencing. Now, I know this sounds weird and strange, but also today somebody was in my car, and I kind of felt on a smaller scale, I felt the same thing, but then it felt more draining. So I feel like there are devices that can stifle your intuitive abilities or your brain functioning maybe, and it can also siphon your energy. I think they may have another device also to siphon your energy or something. I don't know, something like that though. And I know this sounds crazy, guys, but that's something that we need to be careful of and be mindful of, because if we can't use our intuition, what then do we have to use? Of course, we have our 5 physical senses, but our intuition is so key, it's so important. You know, it keeps you from danger. It keeps you from going into situations that, you know, that aren't good for you. So I'm going to keep doing research. I'm going to do some actual digging and actual research on that. I've never done any research on it. I just took from the first couple of experiences, I just took note in mental notes, right? Like I just took mental notes, like that's strange, this was occurring, I felt like this during that moment, and then when I moved away from that van, I didn't feel it anymore. And then when that lady got out of my car, I didn't feel it anymore. So yeah, strange things. Very, very, very strange things. So recently I was also kind of considering the cloning concept also. So it's really interesting that I was kind of wondering about cloning, or like, you know, are there people that are out there gathering intel for the purpose of creating clones, right? And then I don't know if it's like Candace Owens or somebody famous started talking about cloning. Oh, on TikTok. And this is because I do remember this, but then it went away. I was watching this thing that said that Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake are clones. If I'm being real with you, I could go along with that storyline and believe that, because the current lady that's supposed to be Britney Spears don't even really look like the real Britney Spears. You know what I mean? She looked like a knockoff version of Britney Spears, period. Anyway, what they were saying was that back in 2001, which was also ironically the year that Aaliyah and the year that no, I think Left Eye died the year before. I think she died in 99. When did Left Eye die? Shit. Anyway, they were saying that Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears got into a car accident. And that when they got into the car accident, it was a fatal car accident. They died. They both died. And then they also said that they were cloned. So this is what this video said. I'm just, you know, going off of that. But I do remember at that time period hearing about them getting into a car accident, and then it just went away. It just poof, went away. Now, interestingly enough, I don't think back in those days I was privy to the concept of cloning and to the degree that we are privy to it now. Hey, Angelus, I'm over here just talking about weird shit. Real weird, scientific, you know, crazy shit. So I don't think back then I was really privy to the concept or the core of what cloning was, right? But I did notice, looking at those pictures of the Britney Spears before the accident, definitely got different auras or different energies, which say, oh, they got into a car. Kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. What you doing? I don't know. I really do. I can buy that story that Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears were cloned. I could buy that. I could totally buy that. And I want to say that maybe there's a couple of others as well. But Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, like you know, at that time, they were cash cows. You know what I mean? So they like, bitch, y'all can't die. We need y'all to be living. Get y'all We need you living. So I don't know. I was watching that video and it was really interesting because I do remember about hearing about the car accident. But back then, Hollywood was real close-lipped, you know, about certain stuff. Like certain celebrities, you know, they could kill a story quick. And usually something would happen like that. Like you would hear something, like it would be like, so basically one of the firefighters that was on the scene was like, basically they got into a car accident and they died. And a radio host got the news. He called the radio host. The radio host got the news. He put the news out on the radio. And then that was the only network or station that got the news. Everybody else, the next day, they were saying, oh, Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake are alive and they're fine. But according to the firefighter and according to some other person who saw them dead, they actually died in that car accident. And I, you know, that's just crazy because like there's a lot of things that go on in Hollywood that I just be knowing like this shit is not real. Like for instance, a lot of the things that I just feel, I get a feeling about later down the line, I find out that I was right on. For instance, 2088 film they did. Yeah. So, okay. No, what's her name? Natalie Wood. The actress from Splendor in the Grass, right? They was always, for up until like maybe like 15, up until like 10 years ago, they always said that she just, you know, she died a mysterious death, and you know what I mean, like she died in, you know, on a boat accident or something like that. Not really a boat accident, but she somehow just disappeared on the boat. Nigga, in real life, that lady was deathly afraid of water. Okay? So, more than likely, she was not going nowhere near close to the water. I always knew that she was killed. I always knew she got killed. And I always believed that she probably got killed by her husband. And then later down the line, they found out, oh, yeah, she was killed by her husband or whatever. But it's stuff like that, like things that will happen. Like, for instance, Brittany Murphy. Yeah, she was killed. She was drugged, obviously. Jimi Hendrix, obviously, he was killed. Like, there's a lot of people that in Hollywood that were actually murdered by some person who had enough pull and enough money to cover it up. Whitney Houston, obviously, she did not die on her own. Somebody killed her and her daughter. They're going to say, oh, she drowned. She was overdosed. No, she did not. Somebody drowned her. A person. You know, there's a lot of things that go on around Hollywood that I've picked up energetically, right? This is one of the reasons why. So, like, I know I talked about this a little bit last year, but like, I never really fooled with certain celebrities. P. Diddy specifically. I just never was a fan of his. Just never cared about anything that he had going on in his life. Like, in my reality, he was known because he was on TV, not because of anything else. Right? And that's sad because at the end of the day, you know, I don't want to discredit people for, you know, if they've done great works in life. But he always had this vibe, you know what I mean? Like, so, yeah. Yeah, he was on them Epstein Islands and shit, you know what I mean? He helped them build that situation. It's like, no. You can feel the energy on folks. Like, you can feel the fucking energy on them. People can put on a smile. They can put on a great face. But you can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel the energy. And there's others too just like that. But P. Diddy was one of the ones specifically for me that I was just, I never could get into that. Which is why I don't understand how the fuck Making the Band even went on as long as it did, one. And two, as foolishly as it did. You remember watching Making the Band and this motherfucker was like laid out on like a Chase lounge and shit, and motherfuckers was like carrying this nigga around and shit. Like, nigga, you are not fucking Cleopatra. But fine, you know, have at it. But it was weird as fuck to me. Like, what are y'all doing? Like, y'all don't remember thinking that? Like, what the fuck is going on here? Why is this happening? Nobody's gonna say anything about this? Nobody? No one? No one wants to speak up? Nobody? Nobody has nothing to say. Everybody thinks this is just great, regular behavior, right? This is all cool behavior. It was weird, man. It was weird as fuck. So, yeah, you know, that's such a, the reality, I don't know. There's so many things that I'm kind of feeling and thinking right now, because now I'm starting to wonder, like, how many of these motherfuckers is really aliens, you know? I don't know. Oh, guys, is my feed messed up? That could be the reason why you guys are going in and out. Okay. Can you just check my feed and see what's going on? I was watching this video and of that Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake. Look, you could see pictures of them before the accident, and then you saw pictures of them after the accident, and their energy completely changed. It was like they had really dark energy, you know? And I get it. When you go through an accident, that could be a frazzling situation, but no, it was like completely, it was like a complete energy shift. It was like the case of the body snatchers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, like, Lisa Left Eye Lopez. Like, I can sit here and name the sacrifices. Left Eye, Aaliyah, Hathaway, not Hathaway. What's that lady's name? Hepburn. No, not Hepburn. She had like Fawcett. Is that Farrah Fawcett? Her hair was always like flaring out. It was like this. It was like a flare. You know who else? Is it Humphreys? Chris Humphreys? Is that his name? No. Is that a basketball player? No, not him. It was an actor. This guy's an actor, but he was apparently he overdosed on drugs. You know, I'd rather actually talk about murders than the sacrifices, right? Because the murders, I mean, we can go down the line. Pretty much any Hollywood star that died, majority of them were murdered. Not some, oh, freak accident, oh, they got into a plane accident. No, that was murder. Listen, if somebody did something in order for the death to happen, that is considered murder, right? Some of those murders were also coexisting as sacrifices, you know, that industry. So, yeah. You know something? I want to talk about this now. And actually, I need to get, come on, let's walk with me. Where am I located from? Earth. Are you from some other planet? Are you from Sirius? Or another galaxy, right? Is Sirius another galaxy? Or is it another planet? It's another galaxy, right? Okay, I wanna talk about Tupac. Now, obviously, Tupac was definitely, they had to get rid of him because Tupac was just too much of everything that they didn't have. Tupac was too vocal, too powerful, too passionate, too righteous. He had a righteous heart. You know what I'm saying? And there's just certain things that he would not participate in, including fucking with the kids. He wouldn't participate in those types of activities. But some of those people did. Tupac also wasn't about to be on certain other things, which I don't really, you know what I mean? He wasn't about to be on no other shit either. But I want to talk to you guys more so about the power of the tongue. Okay? The power of the tongue. Oh, damn, I can't even. And I want you guys to remember. So first off, keep in mind, this is a spiritual channel. We talk about magic. We talk about spirituality. We talk about all sorts of things, right? So this conversation, thank you. This conversation is about to get real kind of spiritual, magical talking vibe. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I want to talk about how Tupac had the gift of utterance, as many people do, right? If you are a creative, such as a musician or somebody who is a speaker, you just have like a really passionate energy about yourself when you speak, you most likely going to be, I'm in the interim between those two. I'm in the interim right now. Most likely you have the power of utterance, okay? Or the command, right? Now, one thing about Tupac was that he was very much many things. He wasn't just one thing. He was a beautiful person physically. So he was physically beautiful. He had a gift of utterance. He had the sight. He had a lot of gifts that he was able to make use of, okay? He was also very intelligent as well. Is it Valentine's Day? So which songs did Tupac manifest his death? Was that Machiavelli? I know it was on Machiavelli. I don't know how to spell it, Machiavelli. Machiavelli, Tupac. All right, so one of the things Tupac did really well was utter his own death, right? Now, a lot of times, and this is something that I even knew back then, even when I was a kid. I mean, I was listening to Tupac, I think I was probably like a teenager, like 14, something like that. But even back then, I knew that what he was participating in when he was making these songs, talking about his death and saying that he was about to die and, these different things, was I knew that he was speaking these things into existence. Now, back then, I didn't have the real words for it. I didn't really have the real terminologies or the real definitions for it. But it was something that I could see that he was doing. And I knew that he needed to stop speaking in those ways, right? So Tupac spoke his own death. I believe that had Tupac not spoken his own death, that his death would not have occurred. Hello, welcome. Thank you so much. Now, like I said, Tupac was multifaceted and multi-talented and multi-gifted in the spiritual elements, right? So he definitely had the gift to speak, okay, the gift of utterance, and definitely of command as well. He was a very passionate speaker. From the time that he was a teenager, he was a very passionate speaker. He's a writer also. So he was a scripter. He was a speaker. He was a scripter. He was very passionate. So that means that he was persuasive. He was able to invoke and evoke emotions. Okay. How we know for sure that Tupac spoke his own death, because of those things right there. Those were a part of his magic, right? He had other magical things about him as well, other spiritual things about him as well. He was always very well read and very, very knowledgeable, like very well read and very well versed. Okay, he was extremely intelligent. Another thing that he had in him that they could not have because they could not contain it is he had a warrior spirit. Okay. He had a fighter's spirit. He had a warrior spirit. So they knew that they could not control him. Tupac was uncontrollable. And see, that was the thing. That was the reason why the music industry allowed for him to, and the reason why they did not protect him was because they knew that he would be a loose cannon, okay? And the music industry specifically, they prefer that you are controllable. They prefer that you are somebody that they can mold and shape and keep you docile, kind of like friendly to their ills, friendly to their evils, okay? Or turning a blind eye to their evils, right? That's one of the things that, even though I do believe that potentially Jay-Z has a lot of participation in some of these many evils, I do think that he was also very much a passive energy also. And I don't mean like in his own actions. I mean like when it comes to other people's doings, I believe that he was very much with C, and then kind of just not like, it's not, I don't see Jay-Z as the person that's going to check somebody about, you know, why are these children here? You know, Jay-Z wasn't, I don't think Jay-Z's that guy. He's not that guy that's going to go check you about this or that, you know? And Jay-Z very much was a beneficiary of Tupac not being here anymore. Absolutely. There's no way Jay-Z would ever be considered the best rapper if, or the best rapper around if Tupac was around. It would have never happened because he wasn't, period. Jay-Z has his own ability to create things, but he didn't have a star like Tupac did. I'm starting to understand the conversation, or I'm starting to really understand the star conversation, the conversation of a star. Like, you know, like Tupac had all the qualities of a star. He was charismatic. He was beautiful. He was well-read, well-versed, well-spoken. He was very passionate. He was very creative. He was very driven. Okay. But he had those innate abilities, those innate qualities that a star has. And not to say that Jay-Z doesn't have his own shine. Of course he does. But he would have, standing next to Tupac, he would have never been. Same thing with Aaliyah. Same thing with Aaliyah. Certain people would not have ever risen to the power that they risen to if certain other people were around. And that is just what it is, right? It just is what it is. And for a long time, a lot of people wanted to fight that. But one of the things that I really recognize now that we're talking about this,